you are elected to Congress, will you go back and vote for a cost of living increase for Social Security recipients? Or is that one of the tough choices that Congress needs to make if we're going to reduce the deficit?
First of all, let me say thank you, Joe, for moderating, and thanks to everybody for coming here today to listen to all three of the candidates running and asking for your vote on November 2nd. You've asked a very good topical question about Social Security and the fact that seniors have been asked to make do without an increase in a time when their actual costs are going up, especially for things like medicines, things that our seniors are dependent on buying every day. This isn't the first time that's happened. I've heard from seniors before in the last year about it, and clearly I think that we need to change the formula that makes the determination about allocating the Social Security COLA. I know that it's tied to inflation, and it's supposed to reflect the actual costs that seniors face out in the economy and the market every single day, but I think that it no longer does. So what I would do is support changing that formula to be more reflective of the things that our senior citizens have to buy every single day. We know that they're struggling to keep up with rising costs, although inflation is low across the board. If you look at the specific things that seniors buy, and particularly looking at medicines, we know that their actual costs are increasing. I have said I would like to fix that. Another thing that I said is that when we're asking folks to, if we're asking folks to make do with less, and again I think we should change that, we should start with ourselves first, which is why the first bill that I put my name on the first day when I swore into Congress last year was a bill to cut congressional pay. I said let's start with ourselves and make sure that Congress takes a pay cut first before we ask anybody else to make do with less. And I also want a bill that will continue to cut congressional pay another 5%, but I do think that we need to change that Social Security COLA formula.
Mr. Golden.
Joel, thank you. And I'm a little bit nervous today because this is the first time, I think, in a lot of the forums that I've had to sit between these two guys. Not an enviable position, but I'll do the best I can. And thanks to all of you for coming out. And by the way, what's for lunch? If this increase reflected the CPI, the cost price index, I would vote for it. However, that being said, we all have to make sacrifices, but in this particular case, the seniors have been hit the hardest, so I would vote for it. I think we need to take a look overall at the federal government budget, and of course I'm the one that's actually got a plan. You may not like the plan, but the plan is 2% in every single one of the 15 departments of government. I want to see a 2% reduction in that. I think we could do that. That's not so drastic. Randy Forbes has just called for a 40% reduction over 5 years. The president himself talked about a 5% reduction. And I think that's probably a little bit too much. I know that I was able, as an able officer, looking at a spreadsheet, to project you have $2.5 million worth of work to be done, and they give you 2.2, you make the decisions. You make the tough and hard decisions. And you have to do that. So I think I can make that decision, and I think the first thing I would do is I would ask the president, or work with the Congress, to get rid of bizarre programs because they cost millions and millions of dollars. Then take that 2%. But I would look at this, if it reflected CPI, then I would approve this increase.
Scott.
I hope we can get some clarification on just the question. Would you just repeat it?
The question is that
I'm not sure we've answered it.
Okay, the Social Security Administration has told Social Security recipients that they will get no cost of living adjustment for the second straight year because there was no inflation.
Right.
Inflation was negative, I think is what they said. So, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on whoever goes to Congress. It may happen before this next Congress is seated, but let's say it happens when the next Congress is seated, to vote anyway to give seniors a increase in their benefits. How would you vote? And do you think this is a choice that a congressman has to make if we're ever to reduce the deficit?
We are in an extraordinarily difficult economic environment. Every family here, I'm sure, represented has been rocked by this recession. Our seniors have certainly been rocked by this recession, and I have dear family members who are fully dependent on Social Security. That said, I would not, if we went back to Congress this year, I would not. I would not vote for an increase this year. It's supposed to be tied into inflation. And Joel, I think this is one of those difficult choices because of the extraordinary circumstances that we're in and the sacrifice that needs to be made in even much greater way in so many other areas of our budget. I am in favor of this. I am in favor of reducing to zero the amount of payroll taxes that are paid by both the employer and by a person who is on Social Security. I mean, at the age at which they can qualify for Social Security, I think they ought to be able to work and not have those payroll taxes taken out. We need to have an incentive for our employers to continue to keep our seniors working. And I have seniors in our own lives who want to work, and yet they're caught in between this weird place where they're actually penalized for wanting to continue to work. These are the kind of, I think, innovative ideas that I want to bring to Congress that would help get our economy going again, would recognize the fact that our seniors are living longer, and so many of them want to go out and continue to work and be a part of our economy, and yet the way Social Security is set up now, there's actually a disincentive for them to work. And with all due respect here, I'm not trying to be combative here, but I really truly don't know if the congressman would have voted yes or no to answer that specific question. And I defer whatever 5 seconds I have.
All right, I'll ask the congressman, how would you vote to answer his question, or do you feel like you did answer the question?
Well, I think what I said was I would vote to change that formula to be more reflective of the actual price increases that seniors are facing today, which means there will be an increase for them.
All right, let me get on to that. I want to get back at some point.